start here in a couple more minutes. Ball's line to you. Everyone's acting so nice and behaved. Still like 1 minute to chit chat. Do you want to use it or do you want to start? Wow, I got to start over here. Starved, hungry. All right, well, Paul. I'm not allowed to do anything without Paul's blessing. We go? All right, let's go. All right, guys, welcome back. These are other people. You're not sitting behind a computer screen. We have a lot of good things to talk about coming up in Chula Vista over the next few years. We have lots of great things coming in. We have the continued success and mobile growth of our Bayfront Master Plan. We have a university site. Our trash is being collected again. Some of us aren't wearing masks. We're not doing this via Zoom. We have good things to talk about right now. We also have some tough stuff. We have some tough stuff we're facing. We have COVID to deal with still. Marlon King is going to just lose his mind if he has to talk about COVID another day. We have a lot of things going on. The cost of living is super high. All of you guys have questions, and hopefully our 3 young students over there will do a good job grilling one of these people here who wants to lead our city for the next 4 years. One of you is going to be we haven't had someone not named Salas or Cox in charge of this city since 2006. So this will be incredibly new for all of us. All right. Good evening and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for our Chula Vista Mayoral Candidate Forum featuring the 6 candidates, count them, they're all there, running in the June primary election to become the mayor of our fine city, Chula Vista. My name is Joe Little. I'm a reporter with NBC7 here in San Diego. I was with 10 News for a long time, about 12 years before that. I'm also one of your neighbors. My kids go to East Lake High School and East Lake Middle School. I've been here since 2002, go Titans and Tritons. No offense to anyone else out there, but my kids play basketball at East Lake, so it's...
Your son's a star.
My son is a star, and I think Marlon King is also his coach, so I have to kiss Marlon's butt every time I interview him. For those of you who don't know Marlon King, he's in charge of our city's COVID response. Everything that we've done in the city, he's in charge of it. He also coaches basketball in his what's called free time. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you 6 people and how we're going to grill you for the rest of the evening. Before we introduce you guys, though, and the panelists, we would like to thank our hosts here at the Chula Vista Presbyterian Church and Pastor Emily McCole. Now, please welcome Rich Wilson from the church to offer our blessing. Rich.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I usually don't have a mic, but this will work. Welcome to the campus of the Chula Vista Presbyterian Church. So let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity for the church to support our community by hosting a potential representative for the office of mayor for the city of Chula Vista. Please give wisdom and guidance for those who are assembled here to do their best to serve the citizens of Chula Vista. Good luck to them in their efforts and to also as we move forward in our recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. We also pray for the citizens of Ukraine and their efforts for a speedy and peaceful resolution of their conflict with Russia. Please help all those who are greatly affected in this dispute for peace throughout the world. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
also doing a story on this event tonight, so you'll see me running to my camera back and forth. All right, now we'd like to welcome, all I have is Bella. Is Bella? Like share? All right, we want to welcome Bella from South Bay Youth for Change. She's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand.
Place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Chula Vista Mayoral Candidates Forum is brought to you by South Bay Youth for Change, High Tech High Chula Vista, which loaned us its brilliant students, the Chula Vista Chamber of Commerce, and the Institute for Public Strategies. Now please welcome from the Chula Vista Chamber of Commerce, General Manager and my friend, Marcy Weaver.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Chula Vista Chamber of Commerce and my board of directors, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you tonight. To welcome you tonight and thank you for attending our 2022 Chula Vista Mayoral Candidate Forum. This forum is a great way for our business community and residents to hear the issues that are facing the great city and to hear how each candidate responds with solutions. We thank the candidates for their participation tonight and for the willingness to run for this important office. Good luck to you all. We would like to thank our host, Institute for Public Strategies, our amazing students from High Tech High School, and our audience for being here this evening. And lastly, we remind you to please vote on June 7th. Thank you.
One man band, ladies and gentlemen, one man band. You are a shorty.
I know, I didn't realize how short.
Get some phone books for you next time. All right. Next up is Jovita Arellano, Program Manager for IPS South Bay. Oh, another shorty.
Hi, everybody. Glasses. So good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know that this is the Institute for Public Strategies' first in-person event since the pandemic. So I'm excited. I'm thankful that you guys are here. So thankful for our candidates. So the Institute for Public Strategies has a vision for safe, secure, vibrant, and healthy communities where everyone can thrive. We work alongside communities to build power, challenge systems of inequity, protect health, and improve the quality of life. IPS South Bay has a long history of reducing the economic and social toll brought on by drugs and alcohol in the South Bay communities. We partner with residents, businesses, law enforcement, and elected officials. Together, we address community trauma. We've helped in the reduction of underage drinking rates and partnered with local agencies to implement healthy food systems. Most importantly, we've created the power of change. IPS launched Envision Broadway with the goal to balance businesses, interests, and community needs, since residents of all communities deserve health, safety, and quality of life. To learn more about our work in Chula Vista, you can go to envisionbroadway.com. Thank you again so much for attending this candidate forum. We hope that you learn a lot and enough about the candidates to make an informed decision when you vote in the June primary election. Thank you.
All right. We're going to get to the rules in a second. But first, we're going to introduce the three brilliant students at the end, future mayors of their own respective cities. Our panelists are from High Tech High here in Chula Vista. They are from left to right. Jesus Mendoza. Ladies, round of applause and give. Max Urbina. And Armand Vega. Thank you, guys. And also thank you to the volunteers and other students who are here from South Bay Youth for Change, who are also helping tonight, including our buzzer beater right here. No, you're not helping us? That's not what I'm doing. All right, so let's introduce these six up here. 6 residents of Chula Vista who want to represent you as your mayor. All of the candidates agreed to join us tonight to give you, the voters, a closer look. In alphabetical order from left to right, we have Ammar Campa-Najjar, Spencer Cash, Zaneta Encarnacion, Joe Galvez, John McCann, and Rudy Ramirez. All right, so here are the rules. Paulie Knuckles went over these with you, and we're going to be pretty stringent with you guys. We've gotten pretty violent in the past.
Wow.
I will throw this podium at you if you delay any burrito eating this evening. All right, you have 1 minute for an opening statement before we start the 9 questions. The 1-minute opening statements will be made in random order. Paulie's got the bucket full of names. We'll select the names one at a time. Then our panelists over there will ask questions of the candidates. We will alternate back and forth. Candidates will get 1 minute to answer each question. So don't delay on audible pauses, just get into it. Candidates will get 1 minute to answer, 1 minute. Did I say 1 minute? After 1 minute, after the entire Q&A portion, candidates will then have 2 minutes for closing remarks, okay? This is not a debate. Keep your answers and talk directly to the people who are going to hopefully vote for you, okay? Let's just keep it clean. Unless the camera's rolling, feel free to throw things if the camera's rolling. If you throw something without the camera rolling, I will be upset. We handed out index cards to the audience to submit questions on any topic. We are going to select 3 of them to make sure that they're not redundant, that we haven't covered them, or they're not too personal, or whatever. But we'll take a look at those. Chances are we're going to cover a lot of ground this evening. If you have a question, please, if you guys have a question, please write it clearly and succinctly on an index card, and we have someone going around the church plate. You can put cash in there or questions. Cash is appreciated. It is a church plate. We'll take that, okay?
Can you Venmo your questions?
You can Venmo me all the things you want at Little Joe TV. All right. The students have already prepared their questions related to public safety. They will then ask questions of the candidates that were submitted from the Chamber of Commerce. Then the students will ask the candidates 3 questions that have been submitted by the audience. So they're all coming from them. If, after all those questions and answers, you have not heard enough from the candidates, perhaps you can catch them up individually afterwards. Okay, so these 6 people want your vote. They will stay here till 2 or 3 in the morning talking to you. I'm speaking for them. And I suggest you keep them here, all right? Because the traffic will be easier for the rest of us to get out if there are fewer people leaving at the same time. So they will stay here and press the flesh with you as much as they want. All right? I lost my place. Follow those questions. Okay. A reminder to the candidates that we will be enforcing the 1-minute rule for your responses. You will have 2 minutes at the end to say whatever you like. At 1 minute, you will hear this.
Give it some conviction.
If you're in the middle of a sentence, we'll let you finish the sentence, but then we're going to start going, okay, that's okay, all right, that's not even English anymore. It's redundant sentences and it's going on forever. So we're gonna slap you around.
She's giving you the 10 seconds.
Yep, and we have 10-second banner there too. Okay, so let's start with our one. Are there any questions? Anyone with a question? They have tasers also attached to their ankles, so if they go too hard, we just zap them. All right. So the first person for their opening remark. 1 minute on the clock, Councilman John McCann.
I'm Councilman John McCann. I'm a Navy and Iraq War veteran and a successful business owner. I have served 4 times as a council member and unanimously selected as deputy mayor 4 times under 3 different mayors. I have championed public safety as a council member, and under my leadership, the city of Chula Vista has become a top 10 safest city in the United States. In 2015, I led efforts to eliminate the city's $350 million pension obligation deficit. My efforts unanimously were approved in 2020, which now saves the city $14 million per year. SDG&E prices are the highest in the nation. I was the deciding vote to give seniors and residents a choice to purchase power. Thank you.
It's a deep one bag. It's a deep bag. Just get to it. And let's serve as a reminder, everyone check your phone right now. Throw it on silent right now. Let's just do that, okay? All right. With the clock, Rudy Ramirez.
Good evening.
My name is Rudy Ramirez. I am a native Chula Vista local businessman. I started in politics organizing small business owners along Main Street. We felt we were being mistreated, and we went to City Hall and changed things. I worked with my neighbors and some of the school principals up on Quintard Street and brought sidewalks to Quintard Street. So that's where my activism really started. I was such a pain to the city that they asked me to join the General Plan Update Steering Committee, and that led me into many other activities. This is an advisory committee on Bayfront Development and different boards and commissions. I was ultimately elected in 2006 to the City Council and served 2 terms. My foundation, though, has been working in the community, working with in neighborhoods. I started my public office hours when I was in office, where I met once a month, first Monday of every month at 6 o'clock. I held over 100 public meetings. Thank you.
Spencer Cash.
Good evening, my name is Spencer Cash. I'm a father of 2 wonderful bilingual young ladies who fill my life with love, joy, and purpose. My children have lived in Chula Vista since 2013 when I was a candidate for my master's degree in Homeland Security at SDSU. I retired from the U.S. Army in April 21 after more than 24 years of service. I have been lucky to call Chula Vista home again and permanently since January 21. Humanitarian is the single best word I could use to describe myself. Spending 2 years saving lives as a medevac helicopter pilot and leader during the peak of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars was part of my humanitarian credentialing. You can learn more about me at spencercashforchulavista.com. Thank you.
And we will always celebrate people using less than a minute as well. Ammar Campa-Najjar.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ammar Campa-Najjar. I'm a 3rd generation Chula Vista, and I have some family here with me today. I am the only candidate who has also lived in West and East Chula Vista, and I've lived the inequities between West and East Chula Vista. Many of you maybe know me as somebody who ran for Congress, and I can tell you right now that the values that were instilled in me right here in Chula Vista, growing up on Woodlawn and Kearney with my grandfather and my mom and my brother, going to East Lake Community Church and serving there, working there, going to Southwestern Community College. I am not here today if it weren't for the people who invested in me in Chula Vista, and that's why I'm running for mayor of Chula Vista. We're on the precipice of change, the dawning of a new day here in Chula Vista with a new mayor, hopefully a new Bayfront, and a new university. That means innovation in the East and renovation in the West, beautifying our communities, envisioning Broadway, and making sure that we have the dawning of a new day. It's going to take a new leader to communicate a new vision to take us to where we've always known we could go as Chula Vistans. Thank you.
Zaneta Encarnacion.
All right, good evening. Thank you all for coming out this night. I'm Zaneta Encarnacion. I moved to Chula Vista with my husband over there. In 2004, we raised our son here. And the first year I lived here, I had the opportunity to work in the mayor's cabinet in his administration, Steve Padilla at that time. And I fell in love with this community even more so. Because I got to learn all about it. I got to learn about the issues, but more importantly, I got to learn and meet so many incredible people. When I left, I decided to use all that information I had and everything I learned to make this community a better place. And so for the last 20 years almost, I've been doing just that. Working in community service, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for student scholarships so our young people can go to college, making sure that hungry people have food, low-income families have childcare, and I'm finishing up my 6th year at Southwestern College as an executive leader there. Thank you.
Everyone's going to get a chance to answer a question first. All 6 candidates are going to answer each question. But they're going to take turns going first, and we'll just go left to right. Okay? Huh? I'm not paid to do this. Forgive me. Councilman Joe Galvez. You get an extra 3 seconds.
Okay, thank you. It's so wonderful to see you all here tonight, and thank you for taking your time to learn more about your candidates that hope to represent you as our next mayor. I've really thoroughly enjoyed being your council member for the past 3 years. Prior to being on the council, I raised my family in Chula Vista with my husband of almost 30 years, Victor Galvez. We've met many of you and shared our journey of doing good things for our community. As your council member, I have had the privilege of bringing in $2 million in grants for door-to-door electric shuttle rides for seniors that are 55 and older. That service starts next month. I've had the privilege of bringing in over $9.2 million in grants for dilapidated parks northwest Chula Vista. We fixed the budget, hired more police and fire, municipalized ambulance transport, and I'm so excited for our next 4 years with me as your next mayor. Thank you so much.
Look, whatever one of you brings back Soup Plantation, you get my vote, okay? On the Soup Plantation. All right. That's my excuse to overeat and say I'm having salad. All right. Now, everyone's going to answer the same question. Everyone's going to get a chance to answer at least first, and then after Ammar goes first, he'll now be the 6th one for the second question. So we'll just work our way. Everyone gets a chance as fairly as possible. All right? So the first question is going to go to Ammar, and I believe my man Jesus is going to ask it. Jesus?
What will you do about the fentanyl epidemic, specifically as it pertains to youth, prevention, and treatment?
That's a good question. And it's something that's only gotten worse during COVID. A lot of young people have been feeling isolated, not feeling they have the support and mentorship that they usually get at school. We've heard reports of kids who are not going to school. They're at home and they're suffering from domestic abuse but don't have a parent to talk to. And all of those things have only accumulated the substance abuse that we're seeing in our communities. And when I was at the Department of Labor, we worked on programs like My Brother's Keeper to provide mentorship programs to young men of color. We provided job training for summer jobs. We provided after-school programs. I think we got to open back our parks and recs so kids could have an alternative to the kind of activities we're talking about. And really empower these young kids. It's time to reactivate the youth action committee that we have in the city. It's kind of been gone for 2 years because of COVID. We need to get that back and going again. It's not just enforcement, it's not just prevention, but it's empowering our young people to take their skills and talents and do something good with the community, not just something illicit. So.
Spencer, same question.
Can I ask, is it fentanyl? Is that what you're asking about? Okay. First off, I'd like to say that increased education awareness. I did a 24-hour ride-along with the Chula Vista Fire Department just recently, and Narcan, they're telling me, is stopping these overdoses, and people are not dying as they had previously if there's access to that. So that reverses that drug pretty quickly. But the greater problem is the access, and we have that because there are lots of challenges. We're a border city, 7 miles away, but additionally we have a shortage of currently 40 police officers within our department that we need to hire and we need to fill, and that'll help prevent the drugs from getting in our community. So that is one thing. The other thing is that I would piggyback and expand on the San Diego County's community response team, or crisis response teams, which provides mental health support for those in crisis. Thank you.
Zaneta.
as mayor, I will prioritize funding for youth programming because what we see is not just drug use, but we see just, stuff from bored kids because we don't have a robust programming in the city. But I think the most important thing around fentanyl is the mayor's seat and the role that the mayor plays in convening folks. And so having an education background, I would bring in all of our school board members as fellow elected officials and come up with a plan on how we can support our youth comprehensively and holistically. It's something that we've done at Southwestern College. Kids don't go out and use fentanyl because they want to go out and use fentanyl. There's something else happening, whether it's too much time, whether it's crises at home, whether it's depression. We need to get to the root of the problem, and as mayor, I would leverage my seat to call my other elected officials together to create a plan. Thank you.
Jim?
Thank you, Jesus, for asking that very important question. This is deadly serious. A fentanyl overdose could happen to any single one of our children in our community at any time. This drug is prevalent. It's horrifying how dangerous it is. And tomorrow morning, I'm joining the DA in a roundtable of elected officials to get to the bottom of what we all need to do to be more aggressive and put an end to this drug. We need to stop it from from coming across our border. We need to stop the production within our borders. We need to be very, very aggressive because it's unacceptable that a single life, you probably have friends that have been exposed to this drug. Some of us have children that still might be exposed. It is a horrifyingly dangerous narcotic, and we need to get rid of it immediately. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to joining arms with our friends in law enforcement, with the DA, with everybody to make sure that we eliminate this from our community. Thank you.
John?
Mayor McCann will attack this issue. I have 4 children that have grown up and lived in Chula Vista. And a couple years ago, one of my friend's my son's high school friend, who was thinking he was smoking marijuana, was actually killed by fentanyl. This is something that we need to be able to attack. The first thing is we need to make sure that our SRO program is fully funded. Having SROs at our schools is a dual process where the kids will be able to build relationships, they will be able to give information about what's happening in the schools, and then they will be able to allow them to enforce it. Years ago, during the budget cuts, they looked at cutting the SROs, and I was the one who put it back in the budget and saved it.
So this is an area where we could learn a lot from other countries. America hasn't really done a very good job in addressing addiction of all sorts. And starting with our youth is key. Research has found that education on this issue isn't enough. You need to be able to give life skills to kids so they know how to act on the information. And so it's about programs for youth. The problem is that we have a very tight budget. I'm proposing a youth sports tourism program that we could implement here. Too much to explain in less than a minute, but go to my website, rudyramirez.com, and this is a way that we pay for youth and programs in the recreation department, and how we can do a better job of maintaining our parks and that bit of infrastructure without draining resources for other things that we need, our public safety in particular. Thank you.
All right, now Max has a question, and we're going to start with Spencer.
Chula Vista's west side is much different than the east side, especially when it comes to quality of life issues. How will you make them equal, like making sure that there are more walkable paths and bike lanes?
I think that the differences between the city also highlight the differences in how the city has grown. Our newer areas, yes, are newer and more modern, and our downtown is going through a revival, and I see that. I see the development and the increase businesses, and then we have bike lanes down our major roads so that it protects and slows the traffic so that the safety of the public is all in hand. I think what we need to look at also is expanding our opportunities for folks to come to our city. And what I would do is change the University Innovation District from a 20-year failed idea into a tech and trade school district that'll create people who make things, build things, and can do things, and stop throwing money like we're going to do with $1 million into trying to rewrite a 20-year failed idea. Thank you.
Zaneta?
Thank you. We're going to see a huge change in the city in the coming years because of the Bayfront development. And what we need to do is make sure that economic benefit actually comes into our city and doesn't just stay in the Bayfront. And that requires us to invest in the Broadway corridor, right? If we were traveling, I always say, if we were staying at the Bayfront and wanted to check out the city, I'd probably make a U-turn at Broadway. So we need to invest in the Broadway corridor. We need to make sure that the businesses there have the resources that they need. They generate the most sales tax for the city, and we haven't invested equitably in them. So we need to do that. We also need to make sure that we do have a Parks Master Plan, but we need to revisit that. And we also need to revisit our general plan update. It was 20 years ago that we did it. Chula Vista is a very different community than it was 20 years ago, and we need to make sure that we're planning for the people today and the people in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Max, for that question. That's something that's near and dear to my heart as a council member of a West Side district, or Northwest Chula Vista. I've worked really hard to make sure that all the graffiti has been eliminated from Northwest. We started the West Side, Best Side mural and graffiti abatement project with 7 high schools and painted beautiful murals on utility boxes that were frequently tagged. They're beautiful murals throughout the city. We're giving $400,000 out in arts grants very soon. But the number one thing that we can do to make Northwest Chula Vista more walkable and enjoyable is to slow things down. Traffic just goes too fast in Northwest Chula Vista, and especially with all the infill development, it is dangerous sometimes walking in Northwest Chula Vista, in West Chula Vista. We need to really slow our streets down and create more walking paths and link up the Bayfront and everything that's happening there with the new infill development that's happening all along Broadway. You know, the Broadway is zoned to go 7-story residential. So we're going to have a lot more folks, and we'll make sure that they can get out and enjoy the environment.
Mayor McCann will implement the undergrounding in the sidewalk program that I led in the early 2000s. At that time, we used community development block grant money and were able to work with areas that did not have sidewalks. We were able to combine and work with the neighbors to be able to have them go ahead and just pay for their driveway. And if they did that, we would be able to subsidize it with community development block grant money. And there are multiple streets that were successful. And I still remember one of the greatest times I went down and saw one of the streets that we put underground the power lines and underground the sidewalks, and then looked at another street that we didn't. The one that had sidewalks, the kids were riding bikes, the community was out there, and we need to be able to invest in our infrastructure and make the West Side a great place, because we can do it.
Let me just ditto some of the comments you heard earlier. Chula Vista is going to change. Because of the growth, because of our housing crisis, we're going to have to urbanize. It's time for that now. The question is, how will you do that? My ability to work with neighborhoods and my history in protecting stable single-family neighborhoods, I think is key, because people in the community need to be able to trust that the work that's going to be done is, as we urbanize, that we protect single-family neighborhoods, and that we protect against some of the impacts that will certainly come to mitigate those impacts, traffic and other things. If we do it right and we work with the community, we'll be able to move so that the urbanization of Chula Vista actually has the support of the local residents. Thank you.
You know, I've been hearing promises about revitalizing West Chula Vista ever since I lived there. I heard about we're going to fix your roads. I don't think in my entire lifetime we fixed a road on Woodline and Kearney. My whole entire lifetime. So it's not just about promises. We all have similar ideas. It's about who's going to get it done. And I would posit that we need new leadership to look at old problems. You hire the old leadership, you're going to get the same exact results. But what we need is somebody who can look at West Chula Vista in a cohesive way. Right now we have silos. Broadway's being developed, Third Avenue's being developed, but we need a cohesive plan to make a cohesive West Chula Vista that's a gateway to the Bayfront and back, that we could revitalize East Street, J Street, and A Street. That's what we need. We need that aggressive leadership. And it's not just what you know and what you say, it's who you know, forming partnerships on the federal and state levels. We have $27 million that we're getting from the CARES Act that we're going to spend in 2024 between now and then. We could spend that on revitalizing small businesses and doing very innovative things like getting a Mercado over there in the Sears. Do something innovative that keeps the character of our culture and expands our communities and gets kids out there wanting to go on bikes and use our infrastructure.
In the spirit of continued sharing, you three will now use this microphone, and you three will now use that microphone. This is how we solve problems. There we go. There we go. So, Zaneta, you will get a shot at Paul Levincott. It's Paul Levincott, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Paul. All right. And Armand, you are asking your first question.
Describe your plan for expanded youth services to include teens and young adults who are recent high school graduates but may or may not be in college or in the workforce.
Such a great question. What we do know is that the students who graduate from Sweetwater High School or Sweetwater Unified District, there's a large number of them that don't make it to Southwestern College, and they don't make it to San Diego State or UC because we have the numbers, and we don't know where they go. And so that is a priority of mine. I think that we need to look at job training programs. I also am going to be creating a mayor's fellowship in my office so that youth in that age, if they have an idea that they are passionate about for Chula Vista, right? When you're young and you're passionate and nothing can stop you, bringing them in and walking them through the process from what is the language in the municipal code that you need to worry about, who are the people in the city that you need to talk to, what is the community that's going to be affected, and have you talk to them, what is the finance structure and where are you going to get it. Take them from an idea and help them to realize it and build informed leaders and hopefully professional development that they can take on to a better career.
Thank you for that question. You know, we have so many jobs right here under our noses for youth. In our very own city, we have paramedic, EMT positions, we have building inspectors, we have all kinds of jobs in accounting, in public works, in our libraries, parks and rec. We have many in our building and services department. We have so many jobs that we're just not helping folks to know about. And so I believe that it's important to bring the youth onto the campus of City Hall, onto the campus of our Public Works Department. And if we weren't held up by COVID, it was set to go in April. I'm partnering with Junior Achievement of San Diego County, and we're bringing actually fourth graders onto campus to make them familiar with what we do. We're going to show them what the planning department does, what the building department does, what our accounting department does, and having that access and that exposure to actual real jobs that folks can get makes a huge difference in youth so that they have an idea of what might appeal to them.
Mayor McCann will work with our high schools to make sure that there are trade skills taught at our high schools. A great example was when the Sweetwater Union High School District created a welding program that I was part of creating. And I still remember when we did the ribbon cutting, one of the teachers was sitting there and going, oh, so that guy is going to be able to make how much after he goes to NASCO? And I said, oh yeah, he'll probably make $60,000. And the teacher just mouth dropped wide open. And I said, then it will make 80,000, 100,000 in the future. So we need to be able to give trade skills for our youth to be able to make sure that they, when they get out of high school, that they can find jobs.
It's very important to bring youth into the process and to give them a seat at the table and let them see how municipal government works. When I was a councilman, I created an internship program, a very robust internship program, and the goal was to bring a large number of students and young people into a process, have them work on projects so that they get to know City Hall and how it operates and find opportunities. I think that there's also a great opportunity for a youth commission, which under Mayor Cox, I think was a very good program. And so those are the kinds of activities I think that would be appropriate and to give you more exposure to the workplace and certainly municipal government.
No, so I worked at the U.S. Department of Labor focusing on this question in Washington and trying to deliver local solutions, right? At the highest levels, learning about this work, implementing at the local level. You know, and we have to invest in apprenticeship programs, earn while you learn programs, making sure that we bring back the industrial arts into our high school programs. We can do that if we're imaginative enough. And as you all know, we're a bedroom community with a housing problem. So the question is, what are we doing right? How can we get more industry here? And the truth is, the only way we're going to do that is if we make Chula Vista the envy of the county, the place you want to invest your dollars, and people want to spend their money here. I mean, most people live here, but they don't spend their money here. They don't work here. They don't play here, and they don't send their school kids to college here, right? Because we don't have a university here, unless you're going to Southwestern College. We have to attract businesses right here to Chula Vista, and we can do that by turning our amphitheater into a stadium, by maximizing the Bayfront, by getting the university going, by making the city more accessible. We can do these things if we empower our economy and invest in our young people the way we're supposed to. And hopefully the next Ammar Campa-Najjar has those opportunities.
Thank you for that question. And I just want to share, somebody talked about paramedic. We do have new paramedics in the, working for the city. But I do want to share that they, on average, make less than our painters and our parking enforcement officers. So if you're looking for a job, look for a trade and a tech skill that'll give you education and training. And we have 400 acres here that we've been trying to attract a university for 20 years. 20 years ago, a lot of money and effort was put into the University and Innovation District idea. That idea has depreciated to nothing. And to throw more money at it is really a waste. Like I said before, the Chula Vista Tech and Trade School District is what will help create a demand and a draw to our city and created a jewel of the nation for developing people who can make, fix, and do things. Thank you.
Our next three questions are going to come from the Chamber of Commerce, but our student representatives are still going to ask the questions. So Jesus, you have a question, and we'll start with Jill Galvez.
Do you have any plans to support Hispanic businesses?
Absolutely. Am I not working again? It's worked okay. It worked okay. Thank you. Yes, absolutely, and I'm very happy to see some representatives of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here tonight. During the pandemic, we had a hard time as a city reaching out to our Hispanic-owned businesses. It was tough because the city didn't often publish things in both languages. That's the number one thing, is communication with our local Hispanic-owned businesses. We need to focus on partnerships with our media partners in Hispanic media, and we need to make folks feel included by telling them of the opportunities that we have right now in front of us. Right now we have a $400,000 arts grant, and we're not communicating that in both languages. I could go down so many lists of projects that the city has done where we have not sufficiently shared those opportunities with our Spanish-speaking residents. So that's the first thing that I think should be done, is no matter what we do, is foster a sense of inclusion so that everyone has access to the same information at all times.
As Mayor McCann, I'll do exactly what I did during the pandemic, being able to support our small businesses. As a successful small business owner, we were able to communicate in both languages to businesses that were having problems. We were able to pass an ordinance to allow people to be able to just drive by and pick up. We were able to take parking spaces and allow people to actually have patio restaurants and things like that. We were able to be flexible to make sure that people could still purchase and attend these restaurants, these stores, and for businesses not to go under. And we were very successful at that, and we will work on all businesses, but our communications will be in Spanish as well to make sure we're including them, as we did prior.
Well, speaking as a Hispanic-owned business and businessman, I can tell you that I'm not sure that language is necessarily a barrier. And I think that the issues that Hispanic businesses face are the same issues that all businesses face. And one of the things that the city of Chula Vista could do is be more welcoming to startup businesses. I think that there are many opportunities where people start their business in their garage and in other places like that. We need to be able to provide affordable space for small business to grow and to start. And we can do that by supporting our commercial real estate sector. And we haven't done enough of that to get ahead and entitle that kind of land so that it's available for people who want to use it. And so I don't know that I would necessarily distinguish a Hispanic business from any other business. I would encourage and want to work with our local Chamber of Commerce to aid in any kind of those specific things that they need to do. Thanks.
Yeah, so I was an executive at the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and what we learned is that Hispanics create 3 times more small businesses than our counterparts. Every job we create, every product we manufacture, every service we provide, every tax bill we pay goes to benefit our economy here in Chula Vista, and it's time that we recognize that. The barriers that we face as Hispanic-owned businesses is access to capital, credit, and contracts. We need to make sure that we have an equitable distribution of those resources, and we can really tap into the unique thing that makes Chula Vista Chula Vista. We're not just Chulawana, a drive-by city. Nothing wrong with Tijuana, but we are our own destination where you can shop here, you can play here, and invest your dollars here. And it's time, instead of us spending our dollars in San Diego City, it's time that San Diego City spends its money here, because we have a vibrant small business community that provides goods and services that cannot be rivaled anywhere in the county. And if we do that, if we invest properly, we'll make sure that the next generation of Chula Vistans want to live here, not leave here, because they can invest right here in our home.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? Just like to keep it on track.
What will you do to support small Hispanic businesses?
So, as we create people and become a jewel of the nation that develops workers in a workforce that can fix, make, and do things, they also will create small business in our community. I've spoken with many small business owners. I'm a small business owner myself. I've got a problem with the cost of retail space because I can't enter the market. I'm not asking to adjust the market. What I'm trying to do is to help everybody else to elevate and ease the access so that they have the skills and capabilities to live in the city. And one of the greatest cities that I've lived in, and I've lived all over the world, and I love this city, and I know that the development comes with the skills and capabilities of the workforce. Thank you.
We're getting used to it still.
Thank you for the question. What you're talking about is really small businesses and entrepreneurship. And if anyone in here owns a small business, you're probably wanting to pull your hair out when you work with the city, because the permitting and the processing and how much it costs and how much time it takes to open a business. Many don't even open the doors. They they give up, right? So we need to do a better job as a city in terms of serving our small business community. We need to create, and that's too much for 1 minute, so you can go on my website and look at my economic development plan. There are real strong policies that we can put into place that encourages and actually sets aside places, ground leases for our small businesses when we start doing redevelopment. There's also policies that we can kind of limit how many big box stores and really open up the market to our entrepreneurial businesses. And I would agree that we are unique here and we need to make opportunities, streamline processes for our businesses. Thank you.
Next question will start with Mr. McCann. It's going to come from Max.
How are you going to deal with homelessness?
Great question. Mayor McCann will continue to fight homelessness. I have been already proactive and proven to be able to help our homeless in the city of Chula Vista. I led the efforts to create what's called the HOT team, the Homeless Outreach Team, and it's an effective way of working with nonprofits and our police department. So we have nonprofit workers going out, engaging the public with a police officer to make sure that there is no monkey business or that the nonprofit folks aren't hurt at all. And one successful story is Myrna. She was living essentially on a park bench outside the Vons in Eastlake for 2 years, and the HOT team was able to get her help and give her the appropriate action that she needed to get off the streets. So we were successful.
Mr. Ramirez.
So I was talking to Rosie Vasquez, Community Through Hope, and her estimate was that the city of Chula Vista spent over $10 million over the last 3 or 4 years on homeless issues. And I hope maybe it's Myrna is a one example, but honestly, I look across, I don't see a whole lot of progress after having spent so much money. We know what we need to do to tackle the homeless problem. We need to address those issues. We need to put people in the services. The revenue and the resources are there for that, and we need to make a decision as a city to also think about our neighborhoods and the degradation of our neighborhoods, that some of the effects of homelessness brings to our community, and enforce petty laws or laws against petty crime and public camping. Thank you.
So I think we have to look at the different causes. We all think it's because, they have mental health issues or substance abuse issues. Those are the ones that we notice. Most of them aren't that, actually. And the data shows that. It's unaccompanied minors, it's people who are the victims of domestic abuse, it's being one paycheck away from losing your home and being on the street. So there's different causes that require different solutions. There's a great example in Reddings of a wraparound services that's happening in Redlands. It's working well, and we need to replicate that. I'll give you a quick story. When I was at the Department of Labor, there was a homeless man who lived right in front of where I lived. And I told the Secretary of Labor, can I just focus on just this one guy, get him a good job, show him the dignity of work, and get you out of this homelessness situation? And I tried. I paid for the brushes and the paint for him to get an apprenticeship job. 2 weeks later, he was back on the street. And the reason was, he said, I was with my friends who were working, and we wanted to have lunch, and I didn't have money. They wanted to drop me off at home, and it made me feel abnormal. The thing that was supposed to make me feel normal made me feel abnormal. He needed wraparound services, and he got a job at his local church, and nonprofit and government worked together to get this guy off the street. We need to replicate that around the city.
Mr. Cash?
So our nonprofits are best to help the homeless and lead the effort. Our homeless and the challenges that they face, cities give handouts, nonprofits give hand-ups, and we'd like to help give hand-ups to those folks that are challenged and get them back to a self-sustainable place. And through the Tech and Trade School District, I would also have family housing for the students. And we can have a pipeline, a path for those homeless to move. I bring in 50 Tech and Trade schools that'll be the jewel of the nation. 6-week trade certification course or a 2-year LPN, teeth cleaning, pipe fitter, you name it. We'll bring them all here, and we'll do it smartly. And we'll provide a path for our homeless to become self-sufficient and self-sustaining. Thank you.
Thank you. So Myrna actually has family who lives in Eastlake as well and tried very hard. And so I just wanted to preface this by saying our homeless and unsheltered individuals are our community members. They're families sometimes and friends and neighbors. As a 13-year-old, I lived on the street as a homeless youth for 2 years. And I can tell you, I've met the wide spectrum of why people are homeless. The two things unsheltered people need is privacy and security. And they don't always get that in every aspect of services that are offered. I think the city's doing a great job in leveraging its land to put up these shelter pallets, and they need to partner with expert nonprofits to provide that wraparound service, because everybody has a different story of why they're there. But I really want to emphasize that these are people, it's not just the homeless. There are people behind that word.
Thank you. You're about to see Chula Vista turn the corner on homelessness. We've been addressing it in a piecemeal fashion. First, we started with our homeless outreach task force, which is under our police department. But we expanded our efforts to include our park rangers, our public works department, and created something called Operation Pride. Our next step, which is very exciting, opens in June. We're going to install 66 pallet units with locks and keys and privacy for over 138 individuals. People who can stay with their families, with their pets, can lock up their belongings, and they'll have full bathrooms and kitchens managed in multi-purpose rooms with wraparound services from our social services partners. We're also looking at adding CDBG funds so that we can have detox facilities nearby, so that if one of our residents in our homeless village that will be installed in the OVRP area should happen to fall backwards, we can easily get them the help they need in a nearby detox facility, so that they can return to their possessions, return to their families, return to their pets and their belongings.
Our last question will come from Armand, and it's going to start with Mr. Ramirez.
Please provide 3 examples of how you will help small businesses survive and thrive during the next 4 years from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, small businesses need to have access to their customers, and so going forward, we need to be able to work within our finance department to make small business licenses more readily available to people. Anybody who comes to the counter should get a yes before they get a no in establishing their business. The question of financing is very important. We need to be able to work with our state and federal partners to be able to bring financing to small businesses who need to develop. And finally, we need to give them a space to operate. In Chula Vista, it's very difficult to find commercial space small enough for people to start. The city of Chula Vista, through its land use authority, could designate and work with commercial real estate developers to provide that space.
It's a great question, and as we look hopefully toward this post-pandemic economy, as we move from pandemic to endemic, we have to be thinking about this very seriously and not just wait for that moment to come, but to be ready. And right now, we got $57 million from the federal government to spend on COVID to help small businesses as well. We have $27 million left that we could spend. That's a lot of money that we could invest in doubling down on our small businesses. The other thing we need to do is understand that small businesses oftentimes are part of bigger supply chains. So can we attract a big industrial powerhouse like an Amazon, like a Tesla, like a big company that could really help these small businesses be part of their supply chains right here in Chula Vista? And the last thing that we really need to do is have somebody who can form partnerships on the federal level and the state level to be able to unleash the our tax dollars. We give more tax dollars to the federal government than we get every single year as Chula Vistans. Imagine if we got our fair share back, put into our small business in the forms of grants. We could revitalize the West, innovate in the East, and really create an economy that works for every single person who wants to have a dream of starting a small business.
Mr. Cash?
Hi, so I hit the Tech and Trade School quite a bit, but I would also like to add that we asked for 3. The other thing that with the city I would do is change our contracting standard and bring it up to what the federal government uses for contracting. I think that will provide us, one, a ethical baseline. If it's good enough for the federal government, it's good enough for our city, and we'll not have contracts that have strikes considered an act of God. But the other thing is that it'll provide ease of entry for small businesses to bid on our contracts. And if legal, I will terminate the Republic Services contract for breach of contract. And on top of that, I'll break up that franchise service agreement to a single contract for each district and have each council member sign on as a representative to that contract. And that'll allow easier entry to the market and for smaller businesses. Thank you.
So the 3 things that I would do to support small businesses, and this is really critical, right? Because our community's growing, and if we don't grow our revenue, then we need more services from the same pie, right? It's just math. So we can actually, I'm going to be putting together a working group to look at every part of the city that a small business touches in order to do business, with the ultimate goal of recommendations that are policy and operational on how we can do it better. And it's important for the city to invite the businesses in because, again, I believe the people who are impacted by the issues really tend to have the solutions to the issues. We can also pass policies and community benefit agreements for some of the new developments that are coming in to ensure, put language in there that they have some goals of doing businesses, their local business and services here with our local businesses, right? Let's have them shopping with our businesses. We can also lead and make sure that we also have a buy local, shop local for our contracts at the city. We need a model what we're asking for.
Jill?
Thank you. I completely agree that we need to fix our permitting process. I did this for IBM over 30 years ago, worked on the FAR and DFAR regulations to make something intuitive so that when you, on the front end, enter our building services department, you answer a few questions and you get all the data and documentation that you need to quickly open up your business. But in addition to fixing some of our permitting and planning, it's imperative that we continue to support our Chamber of Commerce. Our local Chamber of Commerce is the lifeblood of our local businesses, both the Hispanic Chamber as well as the Chula Vista Chamber. And our partner with the Institute of Public Strategies has been helping us. I've been working with them very closely for 3 years to get the Broadway businesses aligned so that they can envision a new Broadway, so they can help develop what we have on 3rd Avenue with Tava. That's another key component is the business districts such as Tava and anyway, I'll go on to the next. The third thing is, very quickly, is getting customers to our local businesses, and our senior shuttle will do exactly that starting next month.
Mayor McCann will use his 30 years of successful business opportunity. The thing is, we need to leverage technology. It is ridiculous that somebody is trying to find out what the status of their permit is and have to go down to the city. We need to put everything online. You should be able to pay for basic services online. You should be able to look and see what the status of your permit is online, and you should be able to print and be able to get your print instead of having to go down to the city. We need to catch up into the 21st century and make sure that we're leveraging the technology that everybody else is using and so many companies in the private sector are using for the betterment and more efficient. Thank you.
Rudy? Are we done? I just fell asleep on the wheel again. All right, so now it's time for your questions. We have taken all the questions you guys submitted us, we went over them, and we have given up to our students. And we're going to go back and start with Ammar. And Jesus, you are going to ask it, correct? You got it? All right.
Please explain your stance on police reform and defunding the police.
Great question. I do not support defunding the police. I'll just say that out loud. And the reason is I want to make sure that we have the best trained police officers in the county. It's the only time I've ever heard people say we need better training and better conduct, but we're going to pay you less. I've just never heard that before. And they are essential workers, just like all the essential workers we have in Chula Vista who are standing up in tough times. There are some who want to disarm the police. I don't stand for that. I think it's important that we say that. What we need is workforce housing so that they can live where they serve, so they have a stake in the community. That's what we need. We need to take off what they call the burden of having to deal with homeless and have mental health professionals on the front lines of that. Free them up to do the jobs that we ask them to do, protect and serve. And make sure that we crack down on conduct. But let's be honest, there's a few bad apples who give police officers a bad rap. It's not everybody else. Imagine if we just decided to defund every single job where a few bad actors hurt the whole industry. We wouldn't have any jobs. So let's make sure to invest in the conduct and the training of our police officers and make sure that we make public safety front and center in our city. Mr.
I'd just like to comment quickly on the defund the police thing. It's not wise to remove money from people that protect or serve to protect us. I just want to put that out there. We need to give them all of the resources and the tools and the personnel, the 40 personnel that they need to hire, and see what that provides to our city. We all realize that the police are overworked. They're constantly on calls, constantly responding, and there's not enough of them. And they're awesome. Our police officers are the best in the nation. You know, we need to support them. And what I would do is help to alleviate some of their strain by enhancing and adding the crisis response team support that the county has, and parlay that with the police. When there's a call, go out, the police stop, and then when they can hand it over to a crisis response team, the police can leave and free them up to move to more important calls. Thank you.
Thank you. So our community supports our law enforcement so much that they've actually taxed themselves to pay for more law enforcement. So that's a statement right there. I was a volunteer for CAST. Our police officers have community partnerships with organizations that other agencies are being asked to create, and we've had them for 10 years. So we do have a lack of 40 officers, and it's really a matter of, it's hard to be a police officer right now. Folks don't want to. There's a lot of the narrative out there, right? Doesn't sound like a fun job. And what our officers have been doing, and our police department has done really good in earning our community support. And we can always do better. So I don't buy into the narrative either or. I think that we support and we continue to be the safest city in the region, continue the partnerships and actually talk about them a little bit more so we can be a model, and continue to listen to the community and be available to them and their concerns. Thank you.
The number one job of our future mayor is to keep us safe, to keep you safe. That is my commitment to you. Safe neighborhoods are the most important thing that you can ask of a mayor. And that includes a fully funded police department with well-trained, well-paid, well-qualified officers responding in force to calls together so that they are never alone, that they are never in jeopardy of having to overreact to a dangerous situation, and so that they know that they are protecting and serving all of us at all times, just as we support and protect them. It's a very dangerous job. It's a job that the number one requirement, believe it or not, in our police department is great communication skills, the ability to de-escalate situations. The only way we're going to get
the type of officer that we want to continue to hire in Chula Vista is to continue to fund well our police department.
I oppose defunding our police, and I think it was probably one of the worst trends that could happen in California and the United States. You've seen a skyrocket in crime all throughout California. Our police officers do a tremendous job. I have gone on so many ride-alongs, and I am just amazed at how wonderful they do it. I have been a consistent supporter of not just police, but fire. In the early 2000s, I was able to take both the fire and the police department and make sure that they were top tier in their salary. Was able to help lead the effort. Our police department was second to last paid in the county, and we were able to make them number one. I have been able to make sure that we've supported the body-worn cameras, and that is to protect both the officers and our citizens.
I would never consider defunding the police. In fact, what we need to do is to better fund our police. We can do that, and we can find more resources for them. I would want to help them do a better job with technology. It's an area that they're embracing. It's an area that they're doing very well at. If you haven't seen our drone program, you need to go and see it. It saves lives. It saves resources, protects the safety of our officers. And we need to do more programs like that. I want to dedicate much of my work in working with the community to find the right balance. I would put cameras in many of our parks and to make sure that they are the safest places that you can be in Chula Vista. Of course, we need to be able to work with the community and find the right balance and understand and make sure that the programs we're driving are bringing the right balance between our public safety concerns and needs and privacy at the same time.
Max has our second question from the audience, and we'll start with Mr. Cash.
What is your position on the mileage tax?
It's easy, I don't support it.
And that is 50 seconds of savings. All right, Zaneta?
Yeah, the mileage tax, I don't support it either. There's a lot of problems with it in terms of how it's implemented. But what I do say is we do need to figure it out, though, right? I mean, if you look at our streets and you look at our highways, we need to figure out how we're going to continue keeping up and maintaining our infrastructure, especially as more and more people are buying electric cars, right? And they're not paying into the gas tax. That is what funds our infrastructure repair. So no, I don't support the vehicle mileage tax, but I do, we need to figure this out because we are losing revenue sooner and quicker each year, and our roads and our streets are showing it.
Ms. Galvez?
I do not support the vehicle mileage tax. It is an unfair tax proposal that would jeopardize Chula Vista first and foremost. Most of our Chula Vista working families commute out of our city, spending lots of time on our freeways, paying a toll road on the 125. It is unfair. It takes money out of families' budgets, and I completely oppose it. So I think it's offensive that Sandag, instead of looking to reallocate where businesses are located in the city and incentivize businesses to come into our region in the right places, instead looks to penalize people that want to live somewhere that they can afford in a community that's safe and beautiful like Chula Vista, but then spend so much time commuting to work. And to add a tax on top of that is absolutely unacceptable, and I'm 100% opposed to it. Thank you.
Councilmember McCann, if he was the representative on Sandag, he would have voted no on the mileage tax. Because of Chula Vista and its population, Chula Vista was the deciding factor in getting it approved. The mileage tax is a regressive tax. What that means is that people who are the poorest will be affected by the most and hurt the most. That is unacceptable. I am the only candidate who came out immediately and opposed it, who's working with Reform Chula Vista to defeat it. And I have gone after many times to talk about the mileage tax and how it will hurt the city of Chula Vista more than any other city. We are a working class city, and working class folks will be damaged the most by it.
So I would also oppose a mileage tax. Honestly, I don't even know how they would figure it. I've tried to figure out how we could arrive at a number, and I can't even understand it. I like Zaneta's answer, frankly. It is something that we would not support, but it is something we have to figure out because we want to have electric cars. We see that in our future. It will be part of California's future. And so how do we pay for that infrastructure? And so let's figure out something that's equitable. Let's figure out something that's fair. And I got to tell you, one of the most important things we can do is start thinking about creating jobs here in Chula Vista. So our residents aren't disadvantaged, aren't the ones that always have to commute out for their work. And there's lots of things that we can do with our university, innovation district, and other programs to bring jobs into Chula Vista. So that's what we need to focus on. Thank you. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm very proud to be endorsed by the most unions here, but I've been very honest about the mileage tax. Not to open up an old wound, but I was very vocal about the gas tax. It's not because I don't support infrastructure and investment, it's because we've already invested the money. We've given the money to the federal government to invest in our infrastructure. We just got $1.2 trillion, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That's our money, that's not Washington's money, that's your money. Why are we gonna get triple tax for the same service? It's time that we have a mayor who will have broad shoulders and sharp elbows and say, no, San Diego City, we're gonna get our money back. We're going to get earmarks from the federal government for members of Congress, and we're going to invest in Chula Vista. And while we're at it, we're going to get rid of the paying the toll road. And how we do that is Senator Ben Wessel right now has a bill introduced to sell the 125 to Sacramento, so it's off of our backs. We can do this, but we have to stand up to Sacramento and to Washington and say, hey, guess what? You've triple taxed. You're going to try to triple tax us? We want our first tax. You invest in our infrastructure before we have the Bayfront and the university, which is going to have more wear and tear on our infrastructure. It's time we get our money back.
We're going to pass that mic down. So our last question from you, the audience, will come from Armand, and we'll start with Zaneta. Right? Yeah. I got that right now? Yeah. Somebody's got a policing me. All right.
What is your greatest accomplishment you have contributed for the city of Chula Vista?
Oh, that's so great. That's such a great question. So there's a couple of things that I'm very proud of. When I was working for Steve, I passed the ordinance, the first one in the entire county, to make smoking on outdoor patios, to ban that, and then the county ended up following, and almost every city in the county has that now. I also led the community campaign to save the Chula Vista Nature Center in 2008 when they were a city department and they were being proposed to change. We raised $600,000 to allow them to transition to their own independent nonprofit. And we were just driving down McKenzie Creek the other night, and I remember meeting with our engineers and a bunch of residents whose cars were just speeding down. And now if you go down that street, the traffic calming that we were able to put there almost 20 years ago that has really slowed the traffic right in front of the school, senior homes, and also a bunch of single family homes. So I love what I've been able to do, even not being on council, and I'm excited to do more. Thank you.
The Chula Vista Community Shuttle starts next month. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's a result of 2 grants and 3 years of hard work. $1 million from the Volkswagen air emission settlement with the state of California, and $1 million from the CCDC. And what we're going to be providing next month are free door-to-door electric shuttle rides for everyone 55 and older, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. What this means, what this means is you'll be able to download on your phone an app called Ride Circuit. And as long as you're in the service area, you can press a button, and within 2 to 3 minutes, an electric shuttle will come and pick you up and bring you anywhere you'd like to go, door to door, Monday through Friday for free. This is going to impact our Bayfront, all of our seniors that have a hard time getting out and about, all of our businesses on 3rd Avenue that have a tough time having parking spaces reserved for folks that can't walk the great distance. And it's really going to be a boon for tourist money coming into Chula Vista from the trolley, from the Bayfront, and from everywhere else to be able to use our free shuttles to come into the heart of Chula Vista and spend their money.
Oh, it's got
Mayor McCann's priority number 1 is public safety. And as a council member, my results have been proven. 6 out of the 10 fire departments, fire stations, have been under my leadership. The fire department went to 4.0 staffing. The fire department in the early 2000s never had paramedics on their fire engines. I made that happen. In the police department, under my leadership, we built them a new police station. We were able to also give them the cameras, body-worn cameras, to keep them safe and keep our citizens safe. I have supported and funded the drone program. I've supported and funded the Live 911. I have been 100% behind our police and fire, and that is my biggest accomplishment.
So when I went into office in 2006, our first budget was, we were spending less money than the previous budget. I served under the Great Recession, and so there was a lot of pain, but despite that, we were the ones that acquired the land, the land for the university. Before our administration, Mayor Cox's administration, it was a dream. We were the ones that acquired the land. During our tenure as a council member, we paved the way for the Bayfront development. Entitling that Bayfront was the difficult part of making that Bayfront development come together. We built more sidewalks in the Castle Park area than at any other time in the history of Chula Vista. And we did that using the model that I had used back in the late 1980s, and where we had some of the residents share some of the costs. I was specifically responsible for making our animal care facility a no-kill center. We brought diverse groups of people together and developed an ordinance that helped us achieve that.
I think my proudest accomplishment, and that might not sound like a lot to you, but it did to these people's lives. I was in high school when I started working at Eastlake Community Church, and I started off as a janitor. And then I got to be a pastor's assistant counseling young people who were contemplating suicide, who were part of broken homes. And there were kids who were we were worried if we were going to see them next Sunday. And with my pastor's assistants and me working with them, and we all have pain in our life. And I think God gives us pain for a purpose. And I think the purpose for the pain that I've endured, and many of us have endured, is to go back and use the abundance of our experience to enrich the lives of others. And there are young people today who are alive, I think, because of the work of my church and the work I was able to do. And if you could change one person's life, you could change a neighborhood, and you could change a city. And I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for this city, a lot of you quietly investing in me and my public education, to be able to stand here today as a Latino Arab American, running for mayor of the city that made me who I am. Hopefully Jesus and the others look at that and say, if he can do it, I can do it. So my best accomplishment is yet to come as mayor of Chula Vista.
So I'll just say that my resume is on my website, and I ask that you look at my resume and evaluate what I've contributed to this nation and also Southern California in my efforts in humanitarian help and serving the country, and evaluate it against every other resume that you see for mayor, and see who has has the best experience and background to lead this city. My last assignment in the military was with Operation Warp Speed. I volunteered to join that task force just before I retired, and I was assigned to Southern California. I worked in Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, LA, and Orange County, helping increase COVID convalescent plasma and working with the county health officials, blood collectors, and the universities and any other public health stakeholder that can help get the message out about COVID convalescent plasma. And that's the last big effort that I've put forward. But thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jesus, Max, and Armand, for being here tonight and being our thank you guys for your thoughtful answers and adhering mostly to the bell, which is fantastic. We don't like the double bell. We had no double bells for the first time in years. No double bells. I'm actually disappointed in all of you. At this point, we're going to start doing our closing statements. You will once again have 2 minutes to say whatever you want. We encourage you to go 10 seconds, but if you want to go 2 minutes, that's great. Before we start doing that, I just want to remind you guys that Election Day is Tuesday, June 5th. I'm assuming since you're here, you already... 7th? The script says 5th, so June 7th. This is your fault, Polly Knuckles. Vote early, vote often. But I'm assuming since you guys are here... What? Vote often. Oh yeah, vote often, but all of you vote. Once. All of you. Great. Anyway, we're not wherever the world is. Okay, all right, let's just hit rewind and change your script to June 7th. All right. If you have any more questions, sdvote.com has a lot of information for you guys. And then make sure you encourage your neighbors to vote as well. All right, so without further ado, first closing statements will come from Zaneta.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you again for coming out tonight on a work night and being here to listen to all of us tell you why we want to be mayor and why we hope that you will support us. Like I said, have been in this community for almost 20 years. I certainly have the technical experience, right, to lead the city based on my professional experience. But what I have done in these last 20 years is really gotten to know this community, gotten to know the unique issues in all parts of it, brought people together to tackle these issues, to not only tackle them, but get to know all the different factors that are involved in the problems and actually invest their own money in creating solutions. So when you get people to come to the table, put their own skin in the game, and then start serving, so many people that I've worked with now serve as boards and commissioners, executive directors, boards on nonprofits. Really what makes Chula Vista unique and so incredibly special is how much we care about this community and how much we care about each other. Even when we disagree, people care about each other in Chula Vista. I'm excited to be the next mayor of Chula Vista, to bring that community voice to City Hall, to tap into that spirit of shared responsibility that we have for each other, for our businesses, for our workers, for our students, and really be able to take Chula Vista, and we've all heard it, Chula Vista's time to grow up a little bit, and really focus on the hyper-local issues that we have, but really also positioning Chula Vista to be a leader in this region. You need fresh leadership to do this, and you need experienced leadership to do this. So I welcome you to go to my website, zanetaforchulavista.com, and I'll be after to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. The next 4 years are very, very exciting for Chula Vista, and I am so excited to be your next mayor, and I would really appreciate your vote and consideration. What we have in front of us is the opening of our new Bayfront. That's happening right now under our noses. We have our four-year university that we are investing in, and we will continue to invest in, and we're ready. We have the best and brightest police officers now being recruited into our police department. Our fire department has municipalized ambulance transport, and we have a whole bunch of new employees that are excited to work for Chula Vista, and we're going to get them a great contract so that they are excited to continue to work for Chula Vista. We have the senior shuttle that will be expanded to other areas of Chula Vista, and the age will be lowered. It is my hope and my dream to lower that so that students can take shuttles to schools and alleviate everything, all of the congestion around our local schools. Next year, the bell schedule changes to 8:30 a.m. And so that's going to impact a lot of parents not being able to get their students to school on time. San Diego and all of the other cities in the region have long looked kind of behind and left us behind, or thought of us as an afterthought. We are going to be the leader of the region with the right mayor over the next 4 years. All eyes are turning to Chula Vista. Our Bayfront is only the beginning. We have so many great things in store for us, from the Nest Egg Project at the E Street, F Street trolley station, to the Sand Egg Bayshore Bikeway, which is a 26-mile loop around the Bayfront. We're going to have marathons. We're going to have all kinds of things coming. Our Olympic Training Center, the Elite Athletic Training Center, will be the pride of the nation when the Olympics come to town in 2028. Just, get ready, but we need good leadership, someone that's qualified, has worked hard, has been a professional, and has done a great job to Chula Vista to lead us forward. Thank you.
Mr. McCann.
Councilmember McCann is the most qualified to become the mayor of Chula Vista. I've been deputy mayor 4 times under 3 different mayors. I've been a successful businessman for over 30 years. I've been at the city in the good times and the bad times, and I've been able to support our city doing over 20 parks, making sure that we were able to build 6 new fire stations and build a new police station. My number 1 priority is to keep you safe and police and fire. I oppose defunding the police, and I have not signed anything that would even look similar to that. I believe also that we need to support our small businesses. We need to cut the red tape. Great example is tomorrow night we're going to be opening Otay Nights at the Otay Ranch Town Center. A couple that is just trying to start a new business does not know the ins and outs of what's going on. And again, we need to put everything online. We need to be able to make it so it's regular language, it's not legalese. And we need to be able to lower the conditional use permit fees. When they want to just open a business, they're paying $5,000 just to start. We need to be able to have something where they can go ahead and do a payment program for that. And then lastly, Sandag is an important thing, and as mayor, if I was mayor, I would have been able to defeat the mileage tax. And we need to be able to, at Sandag, work with everybody else throughout the county to be able to get the proper Transnet funds and to be able to get the amount of money that the city of Chula Vista should. John McCann for mayor, johnmccann.com. Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez.
Chula Vista is not a small town anymore. We are a serious player now in the region with all of the big challenges and all of the great opportunities in front of us. We're going to need the right kind of leadership in order to capture those opportunities and to deal with those challenges. As we urbanize in Chula Vista, we're going to need someone with my skills and my ability to work with the community in order to make those things happen and assure the residents that their interests are going to be protected along the way. I have experience in government, I have experience in business, and I'll bring that experience to bear as mayor of Chula Vista. We have lots of opportunities. I've outlined a few of them on my website. Please go there and look at what I'm talking about with regard to regenerative waste management. I've written a few pieces that have been published recently, so please go there and get some specifics on my youth sports tourism proposal for Chula Vista, as well as the university. And I have an outline there and a recipe about how to bring a university that's a little bit different from what the path that we're going down and the kind of money that we're spending and throwing at this problem now, at this opportunity. So please go there and get a little bit more informed. There's specific proposals. It's rudyramirez.com. Thank you very much, hosts, for all of your work putting this together, and thank you all for coming out, and have a pleasant evening.
Ammar.
Thank you. So look, I know it's been a tough couple years with this pandemic. It's been hell. There's a lot of us here who have an empty chair at our dinner table because we've lost a loved one during this pandemic. And it's been really, really hard. And South Bay, Chula Vista has suffered the brunt of it. And the reason is because we are the essential workers in Chula Vista who are servicing the entire region, the entire county. And it's because of people like you that we are going to get from a pandemic to an endemic now. And schools are opening up, our communities are opening up, our small businesses have been opening up. It's because of you. Chula Vista Strong is because of you. And we need strong leadership at the helm who will say what they mean and mean what they say, who won't stand up here and say we got to support firefighters and not vote today on a contract the firefighters have been fighting for. And they've been fighting during COVID. They've been fighting up and down the state during the worst fires, almost like the plagues. It's fire, pandemic, everything has been thrown at us as a state and a city. We need people who will stand up, and step in, not leave us with $10 million every year in a deficit. That's why we don't have the services we need, because we're not investing in our people. And I say, let's hire a new person to do this job. I'm very grateful for the city that my predecessors left for me, but we're on the dawn of a new day with new leadership. We have term limits for a reason. And with that new leadership has the opportunity to maximize the Bayfront, to maximize the university, to get it done. I was prepubescent when people were promising the university. It's time to have someone who will deliver for them. Give us a new industries, new jobs, and new housing opportunities that will come with that. And support our essential workers, our firefighters, our police officers, our realtors, our grocery workers, and our healthcare workers, and usher us into a new era. And the way we're going to do that is by harnessing our unique voices to combat this unique moment and have a new leader who will communicate a clear vision, and so that we're going to move forward as a city. Not look at old problems the old way, but old problems the new way. You've invested in me. All I ask for you to do is invest in me back if I invest in you. If you be my voice this election, I will be your voice as the next mayor of our city, and our best days will be ahead of us together.
I'd just like to, as a 100% disabled combat veteran, I'd like to make a quick comment about Ukraine. First, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. I know that everybody is concerned about what's going on. I went to Europe and I met my wife because of the war in Europe. And now we have war on the European shores again with a major superpower. I get it, it's concerning. Everybody thinks about how can they help. One of the ways that each of you can help is to donate blood. There's a global blood shortage right now, and you all have the power within you to donate blood. So if you don't vote for me, I do ask that you maybe think about donating some blood to help out the nation and also those in Ukraine. I would like to say that I'm running on a platform of fiscal accountability. I believe the majority of all of our city's problems are led because of fiscal mismanagement. Our rainy day funds weren't available because we never invested in them, because we don't know how to manage our money. The city is being swindled, the taxpayers are being fleeced, and if you vote for this gringo, I promise to stop it.
Good night. No, I don't know, right there. All right, so June 7th, vote. Encourage everyone else to vote. Your next mayor is up here on the stage. For the next 4 years, our next leader is up here on the stage. Everyone's raising their hand, poking each other. But thank you, you six. Thank you so much for your candor tonight, your honesty tonight. Thank you for sticking around for the next 2.5 hours, talking to everyone here who wants to get you one-on-one. And also, seriously, thank you all for dedicating your evening to this really important decision. Share with your neighbors, share with your friends and family, and please don't forget to vote. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Bueno, nos vamos por acá.
¿Cómo estás? ¿Todo tranquilo?
How are things going? You're still working with?
No, I left the collaborative. I have business now.
What do you do?
I've done consulting and still outreach work for promotoras.
It's such an important group. It's such important work. That you harness that group. Well, good. Good to see you around.